Welcome back, everyone. I'd like to start off today by thanking everyone who's been putting themselves out there and helping me get the word out. I know you've been taking a lot of flack, so I really appreciate your courage and tenacity. Keep up the good work. Next, I'd like to address the haters who still refuse to examine the evidence or think critically, because they just want to wait until the board tells them what to do. A lot of them seem to be treating this as more of a religion than an intel op. Even when Q Plus dropped that huge hint on the board confirming me, they still don't want to look at the evidence. Pretty silly, right? But don't sweat it, it's no big deal. And at this point, there's not much more we can do for the Q Pharisees who aren't seeing it yet. The evidence is there, they just can't seem to put their egos aside for long enough to examine it. It's no worries though, because they'll be getting a huge dose of intellectual humility served up to them very soon. In the meantime, I appreciate the rest of you mixing it up with their followers. Still have lots of silly gooses on Twitter demanding that I post the exact messages they tell me to on the main board, as if command is somehow supposed to take orders from random trolls on the internet. For those of you who aren't aware, QAnon is essentially a giant drip nurture campaign. One that is designed to persuade a huge percentage of the population to completely change their lifelong deepest held beliefs. That doesn't happen overnight, even if you have a mountain of indisputable evidence. Just ask Julian Assange if you don't believe me. He dumped a mountain of indisputable proof out there, and how far did that get him? You could also just look at how these Q Pharisees are treating not just me, but anyone who follows my stuff. Exactly like the kangaroo news media, ignoring mountains of hard evidence because they don't like the people showing it to them. But does it matter who I am if the facts I'm presenting are true? Does my age or my personality matter if the facts I'm presenting are true? The answer is no, it doesn't matter. And that's part of the reason we let these Q Pharisees get so popular in the first place. To teach everyone that no matter who you trust, whether it be me, the board, or whoever else, you always need to examine the evidence and think for yourself. Trust people, but always verify. Because allowing big name influencers to tell you what to believe or who to listen to is a great way for us to end up with more evil leaders in the future. Especially now that we have this quantum internet technology that I'm about to tell you about. The next thing I need you to understand is why I'm doing these videos this way. There's several reasons. The primary one is attention span. Most people don't care enough about politics in the first place to spend hours and hours researching complicated topics that they've never heard of. So unless we can hold their attention for long enough to convince them to care, it will be nearly impossible to get them on board. That's the first reason. The second is to connect the dots on the big picture narrative for those of you who are interested, and to provide the tangible facts to back it up. Most smart people will never change their opinion about anything unless they can personally evaluate both the credibility of the source and the veracity of the evidence that that source has to back up their claims. So let me ask you all right now, has anyone else on any platform been able to connect the dots and explain the big picture to you guys as clearly as I have? Has anyone else provided pictures, documents, or verifiable evidence like I have? The answer is definitely no. Not even close. The best defense they've had so far is calling me a CIA agent, meaning they're acknowledging that I'm definitely military intelligence. They're just butthurt that I called them morons, even though I was just responding to them calling me a fraud and a LARP. They're also thrown off by some of the symbolism in my pictures because they haven't actually watched any of my videos, so they don't realize I'm actually trolling the CIA. Like this picture in Belize with my Illuminati eye, something I used to troll Queen Satan while visiting one of her American colonies called Belize. And this one when I new command trolled the Royal Death Racket with one of those gay-ass owl symbols they love so much. For the record, my symbol is a phoenix, not an owl. And that should be pretty clear to anybody who's ever looked at my stuff. So nothing we can really do for the haters at this point besides keep showing them the evidence and hope that they'll eventually look at it. No worries either way though. The open-minded members of the Q Army are with me, and that's all I need. You guys rock. Thanks for being so logical. Next, I'd like to address some concerns I heard yesterday about the US military taking over the internet. The concern of how that's dangerous for our freedom or violates our Fourth Amendment rights. Understand those are definitely valid concerns, but in this case not necessarily informed ones. Because our Fourth Amendment rights have been non-existent for decades. Since World War II, all of our phone calls and electronic communications have been monitored by Team Satan, and recorded, and used illegally. And since then that has pretty much never stopped. So our Fourth Amendment rights are kind of a joke at this point. As are our First Amendment rights. Chinese-style censorship and algorithmic fuckery is standard procedure at all of our tech monopolies. In fact, America's gotten so sideways with censorship that kids growing up today have to go use Yandex, aka Russian Google, to see things they can't see on American Google. How crazy is that? Americans having to go to the Russian internet to bypass censorship. So my point is that the Space Force will do a much better job of keeping the internet open and free to everyone than the evil tech monopolies will. By a long shot. One of the ways we're going to guarantee that is by passing an Internet Bill of Rights, which will essentially be an airtight reaffirmation of our constitutional liberties with some updates that will extend those protections into the digital world. Power companies can't turn off your power because they don't like how you're using it. Phone companies can't turn off your phone because they don't like what you're saying to people. Toll road companies can't block your access to a public road because they don't like your driving. So social media giants cannot inhibit your access to the public square just because they don't like your opinions. They are public utilities and they must be regulated as such if we want free speech to survive. Now that might sound overboard to some of you, but if we don't regulate them ASAP, they will use their power to silence us and to rig our elections. That's not a joke, that's 100% serious. And once we pass our Internet Bill of Rights, the only way to realistically enforce it is with military control of the internet. Otherwise, big tech will just keep running circles around their regulators. It's not ideal, but it's really our only viable option. And I think you'll agree once I tell you about all the crazy stuff that this new quantum internet can do. The quantum internet, which we will be rolling out over the next decade or so, is hands down the most mind-bending technology I have ever worked with. Its capabilities don't even seem like they should be real. They seem like something straight out of a sci-fi movie. But I can assure you that what I'm about to tell you is very real, and it's coming very soon. In the past, quantum internet has been referred to as ETI, or extraterrestrial intelligence, because it enables zero latency wireless communication with anywhere in space or time. Meaning I could use it to Skype someone in another solar system, or I could use it to remote control one of those avatar bodies on a planet that's 100 million light years away from here with no lag whatsoever. Pretty spooky, right? The quantum internet can also wirelessly interface with brains of any species, anywhere, at any point in time. Past, present, or future. So it can be used to look through my eyes, your eyes, or anybody else's eyes. And not just right now, but at any point in time. Even back when you were a baby. It can also be used to look through JFK's eyes in the 60s, or Julius Caesar's eyes in ancient Rome, or a bird at the park's eyes, or a fly on the wall's eyes. It's pretty much a direct wireless connection into any brain, anywhere, at any point in time. Pretty spooky stuff, right? And that's not even the spookiest part. The quantum internet can also be used to read all your thoughts, memories, and feelings. It can also write thoughts, memories, and feelings straight into your head. Meaning that if the wrong people controlled it, they would be able to drive us all around like little robots. Unbelievably terrifying stuff. I have no doubt that many of you will be very disturbed about the idea of technology like this. But please understand that whether we like it or not, the quantum internet is already here. So the choice we had wasn't quantum internet or no quantum internet. The choice we had was CIA and Team Satan controlled quantum internet or DIA and Team America controlled quantum internet. Those were our two options. And the CIA was already using theirs to log into people's brains and remote control them into acts of sadistic violence. If you've ever seen that horseshit propaganda Netflix documentary called Don't Fuck with Cats, the kid in that, named Luca Magnotta, was one of the CIA's Nightmare Circus experiments. And he wasn't the only one. They used many other mind-controlled indirect assassins as well. Pretty messed up. So it goes without saying that we had to do whatever it took to stop those evil monsters. Which is why we needed Donald Trump as president. A raging bull billionaire with a lifetime of experience being accosted by the kangaroo news media, and someone with the skills and the thick skin to truck through all the corruption and organized crime. Everyone needs to understand that we were dangerously close to losing our freedom forever, and that the 2016 presidential election was indisputably the most epic goal line stand in history. One that I am super proud of. Because if we hadn't gotten Trump in there, the royal death racket would have finished consolidating power, and not only would we have lost all of our freedoms, but we would have lost all of our free will as well. Be like a quantum animal farm, if you catch my drift. So that's why the new Space Force is taking control of the internet. Because the only alternative is evil corporations who don't give a rat's ass about our privacy or constitutional rights. Corporations who are already running wild, stealing our data, stalking our locations, and even eavesdropping on our offline conversations, all so they can feed us targeted ads. Now imagine if those corporations had direct access into your brain. Like they could read all of your private thoughts and send you targeted advertisements based on things you've never searched for or talked about out loud. Wouldn't that be terrible? Now imagine if they could beam their ads straight into your brain and you didn't have the power to stop them. That would be an absolute nightmare, wouldn't it? Wouldn't that be nearly impossible to rein in after it was unleashed? That's why we've had to take such extreme measures during this military intelligence operation. Because this isn't just about the future of the United States. This is about the future of the entire world and the entire human race. It's about preventing our last step into 1,000 years of darkness. And it's about clawing back our future from this fanatical satanic cabal that we've been ruled by. Using the military to seize control of the internet like this feels very yucky. Trust me, I know, and I hate it too. But this was the only way to save our planet from the apocalyptic cataclysms we had flying at us like missiles. So hopefully you all can try to understand that and not hold it against me. Because all I'm trying to do here is make sure that we all don't die. So that's a bit about the quantum internet. That's all for today. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys next time.